Albrecht Dürer Adam and Eve. Few artworks have shaped the history of Renaissance art as profoundly as Albrecht Dürer's Adam and Eve, created in 1504. This remarkable engraving is more than a biblical illustration. It is a masterpiece that blends scientific observation, artistic perfection, and deep spiritual symbolism. Even after more than 5 centuries, it continues to captivate viewers with its extraordinary detail and timeless beauty. Albrecht Dürer was one of the greatest artists of the Northern Renaissance. Born in Nuremberg, Germany, he was celebrated as a painter, engraver, mathematician, and theorist. Unlike many artists of his time, Dürer was fascinated by the precise proportions of the human body. He believed that beauty was not simply a matter of emotion, but could be understood through careful study of anatomy, mathematics, and nature. Before creating Adam and Eve, Dürer traveled to Italy, where he encountered the revolutionary ideas of the Italian Renaissance. Artists such as Leonardo da Vinci were exploring perspective, anatomy, and ideal human proportions inspired by the art of ancient Greece and Rome. These experiences transformed Dürer's artistic vision. Returning to Germany, he sought to combine Italian ideals of beauty with the extraordinary precision and detail that Northern European artists were famous for. Adam and Eve became the culmination of those ambitions. The engraving depicts the biblical first man and first woman standing peacefully in the Garden of Eden, just moments before the fall of humanity. It captures a brief instant suspended in time. Eve gently reaches toward the tree of knowledge, while the serpent coils around its branches, tempting her with the forbidden fruit. Adam watches nearby, unaware that history is about to change forever. At first glance, viewers notice the astonishing realism of the figures. Every muscle, every strand of hair, and every leaf has been rendered with incredible precision. Dürer's mastery of engraving allowed him to create textures so delicate that the artwork almost appears alive. Light and shadow model the bodies with sculptural depth, demonstrating his deep understanding of anatomy. Unlike earlier medieval depictions, Adam and Eve are presented as idealized human beings. Their bodies are balanced, harmonious, and graceful. Dürer carefully measured their proportions according to mathematical principles, believing that physical beauty reflected divine order. This was one of the earliest attempts in Northern Europe to achieve the classical ideals admired during the Renaissance. Yet the engraving is much more than a study of anatomy. Every element carries symbolic meaning. Around Adam and Eve stand several animals, each representing one of the 4 humors that medieval scholars believed governed human personality. The elk symbolizes melancholy. The ox represents phlegm. The rabbit embodies sanguine vitality. The cat signifies choleric temperament. Before humanity's fall into sin, these opposing forces exist in perfect harmony. The peaceful coexistence of the animals reflects the balance of creation before evil entered the world. The tiny mouse near the cat represents vulnerability and mortality, reminding viewers that innocence is fragile. Above the figures, a parrot sits on a branch. During the Renaissance, parrots were often associated with the Virgin Mary and redemption, hinting that salvation would eventually follow humanity's fall. Even the landscape surrounding the figures contributes to the narrative. Dense forests, carefully observed plants, and distant mountains create a richly detailed world that feels both real and symbolic. Nature itself becomes a witness to the pivotal moment that changed human history. One of the most fascinating aspects of the engraving is Dürer's signature monogram, prominently displayed on a small tablet hanging from a branch. His famous intertwined A and D became one of the earliest recognizable artist's signatures, reflecting the growing status of artists during the Renaissance. Unlike anonymous medieval craftsmen, Renaissance artists increasingly saw themselves as creative individuals whose names deserved recognition. The technical achievement of Adam and Eve is equally extraordinary. Engraving requires the artist to carve thousands of precise lines into a metal plate, using a sharp tool called a burin. Every line must be planned before it is cut because mistakes cannot easily be corrected. Dürer's unmatched control allowed him to produce subtle gradations of light, shadow, texture, and form that few engravers have ever equaled. The influence of this artwork spread rapidly across Europe through printed copies. Unlike paintings that remained in churches or private collections, engravings could be reproduced and distributed widely. Artists, scholars, and collectors admired Dürer's technical brilliance, helping establish printmaking as a respected fine art rather than simply a method of reproduction. Today, Adam and Eve remains one of the defining masterpieces of Western art. It represents a perfect meeting of faith, science, mathematics, and artistic imagination. Dürer transformed a familiar biblical story into a universal exploration of beauty, knowledge, temptation, and human nature. Standing before this remarkable engraving, we are reminded that true masterpieces reward careful observation. Every detail reveals another layer of meaning, inviting viewers to slow down and appreciate the extraordinary craftsmanship behind each engraved line. More than 500 years after its creation, Albrecht Dürer's Adam and Eve continues to inspire artists, historians, and art lovers around the world, proving that great art can speak across centuries with the same power and elegance it possessed on the day it was first created.